Good day outside there, everyone. You are welcome to your lovely program, Banking Helpdesk, from your lovely station, Glorious Vision Television. Today we have a good episode for you, as usual. And we promise that you are going to enjoy it, though it may sound familiar. It may sound so familiar and so common. But I promise you are going to enjoy it. It's what happens every day in the banking environment. And we might not have been taking interest in it, but I am telling you, it promises to be enjoyable as we listen to it. What are even the goals of this program? The goals of banking education and awareness. And these are what you cannot learn. You can't learn it elsewhere. It's either you have somebody telling you one-on-one. And before somebody could tell you this, the person must have known it. But by the time we go deep into the episode, you discover that nobody will sit you down and start telling you this. That is why it is good to sign up to this station when the time comes for this program. Once again, you are welcome to this program, Banking Helpdesk, from GBTV. Today we have for you, in form of our episode, Forbidden Attitudes in the Banking Hall. Forbidden attitudes in the banking hall. We, going by the name of the topic, we could see or understand that some attitudes are forbidden in the banking hall. When we say they are forbidden, they are not expected to feature in the banking hall. And if in any way it happens, it means it shouldn't be an habit. It should be stopped immediately. And the perpetrators should be educated that banking environment is not an environment where you can practice such a thing. Now, we have, the list is a bit long, but we are going to take them one after the other. Number one is taking over of complaints by a non-account holder. When an account holder who is educated enough and exposed enough to present his or her complaints to the bank is doing that, a non-account holder is not expected to take over from him or her. Once the person is educated enough and is on ground enough to say this is what the problem of my account is, somebody who has escorted the person to the bank is not expected to take over. Emotion is not expected to push us a person that he takes over the argument. And don't forget, banking environment is not an environment for lawlessness. If such is done and warning against it is not heeded, the perpetrator can be sent out of the banking hall. Yeah. Can be sent out of the banking hall. On what ground? He is not in any way in account relationship with the bank, but he's trying to act as an agent to the customer. So he could be accused of threatening the peace of the environment. Take note of that. Another one that is not welcomed at all in the banking environment is standing beside or at the back of the officials. That you stand beside or at the back of the officials. Because of what? The man is using the system, and the system contains a lot of information. Number one, when the system is locked up and is trying to open, while you stand by his side or at the back, the password is exposed to you. And if he has been working and the system is already on, third-party information could be on display on the system. So by the time you stand by his side or at the back, everything is exposed to you. Take for instance, if the account of your spouse is receiving attention unknown to you, and you are standing beside the man, if you see the details, it means it has been exposed to you. Many men or women in Nigeria are not matured enough to treat financial matters with an expected level of maturity. The banker will not allow you to do that. If the man who is attending to you refuses to tell you or avoids telling you, the superior or a colleague can come around to tell you, "Okay, please go to the front." All you need is to hear from the man, not to continue to monitor the system with him. However, in some difficult situation, like if you cannot sign your correct signature, you may be asked to come and see the way you are signing. It's not a right because you are expected to sign correctly. But we have so many bank customers who have different kinds of signature. Maybe the one they are signing in bank A is different from the one they are signing in bank B. And there are occasions where they get things muddled up and they are mixed up in signatures. That's why it is good to sign a single signature. And if you are going to have many of them, try to know before you go to a bank, or you can try to sign specimens of your signature somewhere to know that if I'm going to bank A, this is the signature I will sign. So besides that kind of problem, you are not expected to stand at the back or by the side of a bank officials. Another one is when you pick a sheet or a piece of paper from the table of a service rendering officer. When you just come around and pick a sheet of paper from the table of the person attending to you. Though customers have a lot of rights, but your rights are not extended to the pieces of papers on the table of the bank officials. Why? They might be containing information. The man, after some exploits on some assignments, might decide to code some information and put it on sheet of paper. And unknown to you, and outside I just get there, please, I need a piece of paper to collect my balance. Wait, let the man give you the one he can spare. By the time you pick a sheet of paper, you can pick somebody else's information or valid information containing his work. And you draw back the hands of the clock. So you are not expected to do that. It is forbidden in the banking law. Another one is smoking. Wow. In those days, you find some people in the banking law in the name of exercising their rights. Good. Before banking industry underwent a kind of re-engineering of service and in terms of environment. This used to go on. And why? We have so many banking officials, so many bank officials who are smokers. And because they have some other people, like their customers, their familiar customers, who are also smokers. And like this adage, birds of the same feathers fly together. The man who is a banker, who is already smoking, will not be able to checkmate the customer who is smoking. Apart from smoking face to face, you are not even, the smell, the aroma of a cigarette must not be heard in the banking hall. Yeah. In those days, they used to do it and within the confine of some offices. But now it is completely forbidden from the bankers or the customers. It is not just socially polite to smoke in the banking hall. So let's take note of that. Another one is noise making. Noise making is forbidden in the banking hall. That is why when you see a customer shouting in the banking hall, all attentions go to him or her. People will want to know what is happening because that environment is not made for noise making. It's made for decent behavior. Yeah, decent behavior. When you are discussing, you are expected to discuss politely and quietly. So noise making is forbidden. When you make a noise, you attract people's attention. Even people from operation support will come aside to check. And in whichever case we make noise, as when there's an attack on the bank, that is when there's a noise. And the assailants are usually those making the noise. So once somebody's voice goes up, what happens? What is our fate? Let us know if the boys are around. May God forbid bad thing. Another one is clusters of discussants. How do you understand this? Clusters of discussants is when the banking hall is in operation and it's not locked. For example, during the political impasse, and the doors of the banks are usually locked, the staff and some privileged customers can gather to discuss. But when the operations are going on, this is not allowed. No. See, you are expected to come into the banking hall, do your transactions, and leave. Do your transactions and leave. That is why a couple of years ago, they stopped having seats in the banking hall. They stopped providing chairs. How? Operational re-engineering then made it so easy for you to be attended to because those things that used to make people stay long in the banking hall had been cancelled, bypassed. The days when you submit your check to the customer, to the cashier, and you are given a tally number for you to go and hand somewhere. You are expected to be there for 2-3 hours before your name will be called, because your check will go to the reference clerk, from the reference clerk to reference supervisor, and if the amount is above the person's capacity, from there to officer to accountant, accountant to the manager, and the something will follow the same process back to the cashier. So many of those processes had been bypassed, causing operational re-engineering. So there should be no clusters of discussants. And in those days, when such a thing used to happen, if the cashier talks or any security man, you are free to tell him, okay, attend to us and let us go. But nowadays, many things had happened. Now, the next one is third parties interruption without invitation. It's third parties interruption without invitation. It's when the banker is handling a transaction for a customer and a privileged third party is now trying to interrupt. Perhaps in one time or the other, he has been aggrieved. He has been made to pass through the same experience. And he now decided to, to burst into the discussion. They did like that for me so time ago. See, don't take it from them. No grief for them. Shout at them. He didn't do that when he had the experience. Just for the person to cause commotion. And you have different kinds of customers coming to the bank here. And if you investigate properly in most cases, that kind of person might be a third party visitor to the bank. Perhaps he does not have a banker customer relationship with the bank, but he's just familiar to the terrain. Interrupt and cause problems. One. Number two, perhaps the person used to be a banker before. Even despite that, he is not expected to get crash into a discussion between an aggrieved customer and the bankers, uninvited. Before you can take part in a discussion, official discussion within the banking hall, you must be invited. You must be invited. Take note of this. We have so many people who visit the bank and they have good knowledge of banking. Some of them are professionally trained. Some of them are bankers on vacation. So when they come into an issue, they can offer good or useful advice. But when they are not invited and they take up the discussion, it can go on and on to aggravate the agitations of the customers. And what happens? Noise in the bank hall, which is forbidden. Take note of that. The next one is no turning of the hall to appointment points. Yeah. When you have somebody coming from Morocco and you now decide to stay in the banking hall waiting for the person, don't forget, gonna do this. Somebody will observe when you entered. And the person is monitoring you. If you are frequent to the banking halls, you should know this. Somebody is looking at you, unknown to you. When you just come inside and you decide to go from one point to the other, and on the long run, you start to take your seat, waiting for Uncle Lagbaja or Sister Lagbaja as a point, as a meeting point. By the time you are spending 5-10 minutes and nobody is attending to you, don't be embarrassed when somebody comes to you and starts asking you questions. Let's assume you are waiting there because of a transaction or a pending transaction, a hanging transaction, waiting for somebody to come around and clear you. Like if you presented a material yesterday and it wasn't honored, and you and the signatory do not stay within the same environment, and you are expected to come with the instrument so that the man can come around and clear you, that is a different ball game. Or if you want to go somewhere and you feel where is it very comfortable for me to just stay and wait for my partner, no. It can be so embarrassing when you are asked to go outside and wait outside. They can even ask you to leave the banking premises if your explanations are not clear. So let us take note of that. Let us take note of that and avoid it. Another one is no application of threatening explosives. Threatening explosives like detonation of a banger in the banking hall. It's a criminal offense. If any kind of explosive is traced to you, particularly when it is detonated, it's a criminal case. It will be treated like a case of releasing a gunshot, because your action will scare people, will make them run helter-skelter. So when an explosive is hard, or there is a kind of flame is traced to a particular customer, I'm not talking of cigarette flames, cigarette flames, kind of explosive, so that some people will leave their seats and run away. You can be accused of trying to cause commotion so that you can make away with cash. Banking hall is so sacred against such a practice. Take note of that. There's nothing like it's a mistake. The person will be arrested. Another one is no excessive waiting beyond the expected time. You know, the other time we said it should not be a point, a point meant for meeting of appointment, meeting for appointment or appointment points. Now again, no excessive waiting beyond the expected time. The difference between the one I mentioned before now and this one is officially you are allowed to come around and do your transactions. After the transactions, what are you waiting for? Yeah. What are you waiting for? And reasoning officially, there will never be a cogent reason from you. You have been attended to. The security men in the banking environments are empowered to keep you outside the banking hall. Go and wait. Now that we usually have surge into the banking hall, and now somebody having been attended to is now deciding to wait for another person. No, the hall must be decongested. So after attending to you and somebody is saying, please stay outside, don't feel offended. It is not just going to be tolerated. And to behave honorably after receiving the due attention, after having your instrument paid, after having your transfers effected, why still waiting in the banking hall? You take a leave. It may be to your own safety. Let's note that. The next one is opening and closing time is not negotiable. It should be respected. Yeah, it should be respected. You know when your bank opens for operations. You know when your bank closes for operation. Entering the hall before the opening time is forbidden. Forcing yourself into the hall after the closing time is not allowed. It should be understood that this can happen based on an advanced relationship between some customers and their bankers. I can still remember in those days of industrial actions in the banking industries. We have some highly placed Nigerians. They are not affected. The other day I was telling somebody that a retired general who is now late, whose name I would not like to mention, if you like, go on strike and refuse to open the banking hall. The Baba will come around, a retired Major General, will come around, drop his checks with the manager, and tell you, I wouldn't know how my money will get to me, but you can have my instrument. So that is it. The next one is habitual late arrival for transactions. Another one is get crashing into the banking hall or any of the offices. Another one is no religious preaching in the banking hall. It is forbidden. We still have a lot of them, but those we have mentioned, we want you to take note of them. so that you will avoid embarrassment. It is good to be honorable, not only in the banking hall, when you're outside. Till we come your way again, we are reaching you from the GVTV. I'm still your presenter, James Fadipe. Bye for now.